Hello and welcome to this sparkling Christmas tree acrylic painting. We're going to get started by grabbing our large brush, and I'm going to show you the paint colors we have here that we're going to be using: black, blue, red, white, and yellow. But the first thing we're going to do is dip our large brush in the white paint, and we're going to start forming a circle in the middle of the page, or the middle of the canvas. Just spinning our brush around in a circle. And then I'm going to dip very lightly in the black paint without washing my brush. And I'm going around within that white that I just put on. So I'm getting kind of like a nice light gray. And then as I make my way out, I'm going to continually add black. But right now I want my middle part to be lighter. So I add in a little bit more white just to blend in those colors. Because I want this middle part to be lighter where it's going to be glowing behind my tree. So I'm going to make it a light gray. So I'm going to keep adding white here until I have my desired amount of lightness. And then I'm going to add black again. Notice that I'm not washing my brush at all. I want everything to blend nicely together so you don't have to wash your brush for the entire background. And then I'm just making my way around in a circle, making my way back into that circle that I just finished so everything blends together. Around and around, I'm nice and light on my brush. The lighter I am on my brush, the nicer the paints are going to spread around and they're not going to just stick in that one spot. And I keep making my way back into the center just so everything blends together nicely, and then back out again. And I'm adding a little bit more white now into the center just to lighten off the center a little bit. And I'm going to keep doing this technique so the middle part is lighter, and then I'm going to continually add black as I make my way out. So the outer edges are darker and the middle part is lighter. So continue this until you finish your background, and just keep adding black as you make your way out, and then you could add in some more white into the middle to lighten off the center. So just keep adjusting. It's just black and white paint. You can always paint over both of those colors. Don't wash your brush and have them blend nicely. Okay, so now that we have the background done, I'm going to grab my small rounded end brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. Dip it in the white, dip it in the water, and then bang it against another clean brush. So I'm going to get snowflakes, all different sizes. So just dip it in the white paint, dip it in the water, and start banging it against another brush. All over your canvas until you have the amount that you want. So for the next part, this is where we're going to start the Christmas tree. You don't have to worry about your background being dry. It doesn't matter. But I'm using my my angled brush. I'm mixing some blue and some yellow together to make green, a nice Christmas green. So it's usually exactly half yellow, half blue. And I'm just forming a triangle at the top, a smaller triangle in green paint using my angled brush. Then underneath that, I'm going to make a little bit bigger of a triangle attached to the middle of that one. So I'm just forming another big triangle. So now I'm just forming my shape of my tree. This is a great way to make sure everything's even. So form 3 triangles, one top a little bit smaller, the middle one a little bit bigger than that one, and then the bottom one even bigger. So then we got the proportions made out for our Christmas tree. And just keep adding blue and yellow together to make green. And if they're a different color, all different kind of colors, that's okay. We're going to be adjusting. Right now is just the general shape we're trying to get. So get the triangles, fill them in green, and then we'll move on to the next step, making our details of our tree. So now that we got that filled in, it's time to make it look more like a Christmas tree. So we're going to mix some more blue and some green together and a little bit of white if you want to lighten that off to make it look like it's kind of blending or popping more off of the page. I'm just using that angle part of my brush, and I'm giving it quick strokes going downwards towards the ground, and I'm making it look like those pine leaves on the tree. So I'm just covering up the top part, making those bristles going downwards, kind of like a hula skirt is what it's going to kind of look like. And I'm doing that for each and every one. So I'm using that angled part of my brush, and I'm just making choppy, quick lines going out towards the sides, and also going downwards towards the ground. Off to the sides, and then some going straight down all over that tree. See that? Making that look like bristles. And you just really fill it up and make it look like a really full Christmas tree. And you do that for each and every single one of those triangles that you made, filling it up. Okay, so now that we have our tree looking fuller, we're going to start off with that Christmas bow. So I'm taking some red paint. I cleaned my angle brush off really well. I dipped it in the red paint, and I'm starting with the middle part. So the middle part, I'm putting the bow right at the top of the tree, right in the middle, and I'm forming a square shape in the middle with that red paint, and then 2 square shapes on the side. We're going to be fixing up the shape of this, so it's a little square in the middle and then 2 larger squares along the side. And we're going to be fixing up the bow as we go along, but right now we just want that general shape. And then 2 little strips underneath for the bow. So this is in red paint, a square in the middle, and 2 bigger squares on the side, and then 2 underneath to make your bow shape. And then we're going to be adding in some more detail. But before we add in more detail, we got to make sure that paint is nice and dry. So then we're going to wipe that brush off, clean it off after I fill it up a little bit more with the red paint. I'm just fixing up some areas here. I'm going to wash that brush off, clean it off, and I'm going to make the tree have a bottom to it. So I'm dipping it in the black paint, and I'm just making the tree stump right at the bottom here. It's a square shape on the bottom using black paint, and I'm putting a little bit of white on the side so it glows a little bit. So I just did black paint, and then I dipped a little bit of white paint without washing my brush, and I just added a little bit so it turned more into gray. So I'm still going to let that bow dry a little bit, but now we're going to grab our little round sponge brush, and we're going to dip it in the yellow and the white paint. You can do yellow first and then add some white on top if you want. But we're going to just form some circles. So you just dip it and then stamp it down, making perfect circles all over. Now you can do whatever colors you want for this. You can do yellow, you can do red, you can do blue, you can do a whole bunch of different ones. I'm going to do an assortment of both, but I'm going to do yellow. Then I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit, then dip it a little bit in the red, and then dip it again, wipe off the red a little bit, then dip it in the blue. But you want to make sure you wipe off the paint and then have a whole bunch of the other color, because all the other colors mixed together are going to make, like red and yellow is going to make orange, blue and yellow is going to make green, etc. So you want to make sure the other colors aren't going to mix together. So just wipe them off a little bit, then dip. And now I'm doing blue, and I'm just adding in a little bit in between. So my main color is yellow, and then I'm just going to add a few different colors in between. But you can do whatever you like for this part. So now that I finished my lights on my tree, I want to fill up the sides a little bit more. So I just added a little bit of white and some green together again, and I'm just doing that same technique that I did for the Christmas tree in the first place, those choppy lines. And I'm just filling along the sides to make my tree a little bit bigger. Now, if you don't find that you need this step, don't bother with it. If you like the way your tree looks with your lights, I just found that my lights kind of were overtaking my tree. So I'm just filling up the sides a little bit. So feel free to do that. But if you like the way your tree looks, don't mess with it. And now it's time to fix up that bow and make it to perfection. So I'm just filling in a little bit of the red again, just fixing it up, making my bow shape a little bit bigger even if you want to. Take a look at your bow. If you want to fix up the shape, now will be the time. But I'm going to take my small rounded end brush, and right at the top, I'm making 2 oval shapes. So it's like the inside of the bow, and I'm just doing that in black. And if you find it's too black, add a little bit of red over top of that to make it more burgundy. But right at the top, I'm making 2 oval shapes so it looks like the inside of my bow. And then I'm going to outline every section of my bow the sides, the middle part, and the two strings hanging off in black paint. So I'm using very little paint and I'm very light on my brush to make those nice thin lines. So you don't need very much paint on your brush for this part at all. Very little amount, and just use the very tip of your brush and be very light on your brush. And then just outline that bow in black, all the sections, so it really pops. And I just took a little bit of paint off because I found I had too much. So that's always, if you find you have too much, just take a little bit off with some paper towel. You can always add more paint. It's a lot harder to take away paint. So always less is more when you're doing these fine details. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to dip it in the white paint and add a little bit of white highlight right in the middle, going up towards the top. And then to the sides, adding some white highlights on the sides of the bow. I'll show you here in a second when I move my hand. Again, I'm being very, very light on my brush, and I'm using very little paint. If you find you use too much white paint, just wait for it to dry, add some red over top and then start over, or add red over top and just soften the white a little bit. So off the sides, coming from the middle, you're going to add some white paint, and then you add some white paint in the middle part and a little bit on your strings, just to make it look like it's popping and those lights are shining off of that bow. And once you've completed that, you have yourself your very own sparkling Christmas tree acrylic painting. I hope you enjoyed this painting, and if you did, could you please rate and review my Facebook page and my website, and you can also join my Patreon page as well through YouTube, where you can get all these tutorials as well. Also, if you have a painting that you're really wanting to learn, please message me on my Facebook page or my Patreon page or whatever, and let me know, and I can do that up for you as one of these video tutorials or a paint kit or both. Again, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.